So by default, so pod will not restart automatically, right? But the Kubernetes, what is the Kubernetes? So Kubernetes is nothing but we can restart the pods whenever Linux administrator it will restart, right, guys? Yeah, are you able to see my screen, right? Yeah. So what is that? So we discussed about the replication controller. Always we need to create the pods using the below Kubernetes components because so it is not recommended to create the pods manually, right? Pod is not created because we have created pod manually. So it is not recommended to create pods manually. Always we need to create the pods using the below Kubernetes components or resources. Replication controller, replica set. Okay, so replication controller, the replica set we already discussed. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So today we'll do the practical. Signing into the console. Seven four seven 754. Okay. So where we launched the remote mission. 1 second was in my region. I want to I want to connect the server public DNS. It's already there. Ubuntu. EKCTL. Create a cluster. Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, so how you can create the replica set, right? Here we have a replica set. Replicas, three replicas. So it will automatically, whenever the pod deletes, it automatically create the replicas, create the pod, right? So replica set. So what is that? So we have another file that is a replica set, something like a kind. So this is the kind. This kind is for replica set. This kind is for containers. This is for service. Okay. What is next? Deployment. Right. Guys, in the real time, so we are using the deployment. We are using a deployment manifest file. What is deployment? Why deployment? What is this? What is the next concept is deployment. What is the next concept is deployment. What is that? Replication controller, replica set, deployment. What is deployment? Why deployment? So deployment is one of the Kubernetes resource or component. Deployment is the most recommended approach to deploy our applications in Kubernetes cluster. What is that? Deployment is the most recommended approach to deploy our application in the Kubernetes cluster. So using deployment, we can scale down our parts. What is that? Using deployment, we can scale up and scale down our parts. So deployment supports rollout and rollback. What is that? Deployment supports rollout and rollback. Deploy latest code, we have delete RC and RS, then parts will delete it and the application will down. So we can deploy latest code with zero downtime using a deployment. So using deployment. So we have a deployment strategies are there. What is that? So in the deployment, we have a deployment strategies. So what are the deployment strategies? Recreate and rolling update. Recreate and rolling updates. What is that? Recreate and rolling updates. Replica set. So manually pod created, not recommended. Pod creation using replication controller. Pod creation using replica set. Pod creation using daemon set. The all the above concept auto scaling feature not available. Manually we need to scale our pods. So there is no option to roll back our pods creation. To overcome these problems, we have a deployment concept. So deployment is one of the Kubernetes resource component. Deployment is the most recommended approach to deploy our application in Kubernetes cluster. Using deployment, we can scale up and scale down our pods. Deployment supports rollout and rollback. Note to deploy latest code, we have to delete replication controller and replica set. Then pods will be deleted and application will not, so will be down. So we can deploy a latest code with zero downtime using deployment, zero downtime deployment, rollout and rollback, and auto scaling. So if you use the deployment procedure, if you use the deployment component or resources, what we can achieve, guys? We can achieve the zero downtime deployments, rollout and rollback, and auto scaling capability. If you use the deployment, zero downtime deployment, rollout and rollback, auto scaling. So deployment strategies. So we have below deployment strategies, recreate, rolling update. What is that? Recreate and rolling update. Recreate means it will delete the existing pods and it will create the new pods. Downtime will be there. So rolling update is strategy means it will delete the pods created, creates a new pod one by one. So if we don't specify the deployment strategy, then by default it will consider the rolling update. It will consider the rolling update. Guys understood? So the deployment strategies. So deployment strategy, node one, something like you have a pod one, pod two. So right, the deployment.yaml. So the strategy is recreate. It will delete all the pods and recreate a pod. So if we use the strategy recreate, it will delete the pods and recreate the pods. What are the previous pods available? Those are delete and will recreate the pods based on the replicas. Okay, recreate means existing pods will be deleted and the new pods will be created. Application will don't have a downtime or will have a downtime. Definitely will have a downtime in the strategy. Recreate. So recreate strategy, something like so the specifies used to replace old parts by the can be recreate or rolling update. So recreate means all the existing parts are killed before new ones are created when replica recreate replica type the strategy is recreate. So rolling update, so you see rolling update, it will delete one by one pod and create one by one. Okay. So, so there is a deployments of blue-green deployment model. So we'll tell you that one also. Is understood? So the deployment, why deployment? The deployment is because of zero downtime, rolling and rollout and rollback features, and auto scaling capabilities available in the deployment. That is the reason we are using deployment. Okay. So a daemon set ensure that all the nodes run a copy of the pod and node are added to the cluster, pods are added to them. As nodes are removed from the cluster, those pods are garbage collected. Deleting a daemon set will clean up the pods it's created. A daemon set ensures that all the nodes run on a copy of a pod. A node are added to the cluster, pods are added to them. As nodes are removed from the cluster, those pods are garbage collected. Deleting a daemon set will clean up the pods is created. So some typical use cases of a daemon sets are running a cluster storage daemon on every node, running a logs collection daemon on every node, running a node monitor daemon on every node. Replica not applicable for the daemon set. What is daemon set is nothing but it will a copy of the one pod is running on the one node, it will automatically create the another pod of the same pod on the another node. So daemon set is nothing but it will be a duplication of the data. Okay. So what is the deployment, guys? It's created on waiting. Hmm. 24, right? Deployment is one of the Kubernetes resource or component, right? Deployment. Deployment is the most recommended approach to deploy our application in Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Using deployment, we can scale up and scale down our pods easily. We can scale up and scale down, our pods. What is the next one? Deployment supports rollout and rollback. Deployment supports rollout and rollback. So, no, so to deploy latest code, to deploy latest code, we have to delete RC replication controller or replica set, then parts will be deleted and application will be down, right? So for that purpose, yeah, will be down. So right, so will be down. So for that purpose, we can use deployment. So we can deploy latest code with zero downtime. With zero downtime using deployment. Using deployment. Guys, understood? So what is that? Zero downtime deployment? So we can use zero downtime deployment because of the deployment strategies are rolling update and recreate. So we can use rolling update. It will be a zero downtime deployment. Zero downtime deployment and rollout and rollback. Rollout and rollback. What is that third feature? Auto scaling. Auto scaling auto scaling capabilities available in the deployment. So what are the deployment strategies, guys? Deployment strategies are Kubernetes deployment strategies. What are the deployment strategies, guys? What are the deployment strategies? The deployment strategies are rolling update and recreate. What are the deployment strategies? Deployment strategies are in real time. We have used deployment file only, guys. Deployment ML file. Deployment strategies. We have a deployment strategies. What is the deployment strategies? To recreate and what is that? Rolling update. So recreate means so it will delete the all parts and recreate means it will delete all the existing parts and it will create the new parts. It will create new parts. What is that? Downtime will be there. Downtime will be there. So what is the next rolling update? So rolling update means what is rolling update? What is rolling update? Rolling update strategy. Rolling update strategy means it will delete the path and create new part one by one. One by one. Understood, guys? So if we don't specify the deployment strategy, then by default it will consider as a rolling update, right? Rolling, rolling update. if we don't specify deployment strategy, then by default, it will consider as rolling update. It will consider as a rolling update. You guys understood? It will consider as a rolling update. Deployment strategies. We have a deployment strategies. So recreate and a rolling update. Recreate means it will delete all the existing pods and it will create new pods. So rolling update means strategy means it will delete the pod and create the pod one by one. So if we don't specify the deployment strategy, then by default it will consider as a rolling update. It will consider as a rolling update. Guys understood? So what is the example of the rolling? What is this? Deployment.aml. So in the deployment.aml, the deployment.aml. So kind equal to deployment. Okay, replicas 3. That strategy is recreate and match labels equal to nginx. So this is the deployment manifest file. What this is, guys? This is the deployment manifest file. For example, deployment.aml. This is the deployment.aml. And what is that? So for deployment manifest file. Okay. So apps v1, kind deployment, metadata, nginx web deployment. So spec replicas 3, strategy, recreate. So replicas, how many replicas, guys? We have a 3 replicas on the strategy type equal to recreate. If you are providing strategy type recreate, if you are not providing the strategy also, by default it will take a rolling update. We want to specify recreate, right? So recreate means so it will create. So selectors match labels, app nginx web template, metadata, the labels and spec containers, right? So this is the file and this is the node port service manifest file. So this is the node port and three dots. Okay. So what this is? This is a YAML file for the deployment. YAML file for the deployment. Okay. So how you can delete all the parts, guys? Kubectl, delete all icon all. Kubectl, apply -f, deployment dot yaml. Okay. Kubectl, get parts -o white. Okay. Next, kubectl get svc. Kubectl get svc. Kubectl get deployment. Get deployment. Yeah. So if you want to scale up and scale down kubectl scale deployment deployment dot deployment. So what is the deployment, guys? Yes, this is the nginx deployment. Nginx deployment replicas 5. So we can scale down the replicas. and all the replicas 3. kubectl delete deployment and Nginx web app deployment. Okay, it will delete the deployment. Is understood? This is nothing but a deployment. Okay, I will show you from. So load balancer we already discussed it, right? Namespace. Yeah, load balancer we already discussed, and that namespace. So we need to create the pod svc lb load balancer. Yeah, load balancer we already discussed. Pod svc namespace, right? Yeah. Mm, look, perfect. kubectl get nodes kubectl get pods. Yeah. So nothing is there, right? So we can create the namespace pod, right? Pod svc namespace dot ml. ns namespace dot ml. What is that? API version v1 find equal to namespace metadata name equal to hari ns pod find equal to pod my tomcat namespace equal to hari ns. Okay, container that my tomcat 9 svc. The namespace equal to hari it. So okay. Okay, pod svc ns dot ml. Okay, pod svc ns dot ml. Right. So how you can apply? You can apply. What is the command, guys? kubectl apply hyphen f pod svc ns dot ml. Yeah. Namespace hari itns is created. Pod my tomcat 9 is created. Service my tomcat 9 svc is created. Guys, understood? kubectl 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 get all hyphen n hari itns. Okay. So what is that namespaces? Namespaces contains the pod and the service. Pod and the service. Guys, these two are the in this Hari namespaces. What is that? Hari namespaces. All right. This will see pod only Tomcat SVC SVC. Yeah, this is the SVC. So kubectl logs pod name. The pod name is my tomcat hyphen n hurry itns. So these are the logs. Yeah. Now I want to delete all these things. kubectl delete ns hurry itns. Okay. The namespace is deleted, but I want to delete everything. How to delete? kubectl delete all hyphen r hyphen all. Yes. Okay. So everything will be deleted. Everything will be deleted. Now, kubectl get parts hyphen o wide set svc. Okay. Nothing is there. So then replication controller, right? So what is that? So rc.ml replication controller dot ml. So if the pod deleted, right, it will automatically create the pod. But when you use the RC, the replication controller and replicas, you provided the replicas. You provided the replicas, three replicas, right? So what this is? This is rc.ml. rc.ml replication controller. So API version kind replication controller metadata nginx web app RC. So the name equal to RC replicas 3. So nginx web app, nginx web app prod, nginx web labels. So in the nginx web, so the spec containers, what will create nginx web app, nginx, right? App service. So metadata nginx SVC node port to nginx web app ports 80, target port 80. Okay. So replication controller, right? So kubectl delete all hyphen all. It will delete everything. kubectl apply. kubectl apply hyphen f rc dot and so replication controller nginx web app RC is created. Service nginx SVC is created. So replication controller is created and is in service nginx SVC also created. Okay. kubectl kubectl get part hyphen o wide hyphen o wide. You see, guys. So how many pods are running? Three pods are running. Okay. So what is the replica set? Yeah. So how many replicas we are using? So we are using the three replicas, right? Yeah. Three are running. Three are running. Okay. I want to delete the kubectl kubectl delete or Yeah, one pod is deleted, right? You see, immediately it will create it 8 seconds ago. 8 seconds ago. So if you are trying to delete everything, kubectl delete pods, 3 pods are deleted, right? You see, again 3 pods are created. So now you understood. So what is the replication controller uses? Yes, understood. So replication controller means, so if you set the replicas, if you set the replicas, so the parts always running three. If you delete, it will automatically create it. It will delete, automatically create it. Now you understood, guys? Auto healing. What is the capability? Auto healing capability is there. If you delete the pod, it will delete the, if you delete the pod, it will automatically delete the pods, right? And it will automatically create the pods, because why it is creating in the pod deployment YAML, it will not create the pods because of pod is does not have the auto healing capabilities. Auto healing capabilities started from replication controller. A replication controller and a replica set. Replica set is nothing but a the set so set based selectors, and the replication controller supports only equality based selector. Equality based selector. Is understood? Yes. Yes, understood. Yeah. So this is nothing but a RC. This is nothing but a RC. Okay. So I'm deleting everything. kubectl delete all hyphen hyphen all. Sorry, hyphen hyphen all. kubectl. Okay. No recess found in the namespace. Next. So what is that replica set? So what is the replica set? So replica set provides a replication controller. Replica set is a so set based equality filter. So in that there is a match label. There is a match label. So replica set. So a replica set contains what is that? So match labels. In the selectors, it will select the match labels. But in the rc.yaml, there is no match labels, right? It is a equality based selectors. Is that? So replication rs dot replica set rs dot ml replica set dot ml. Okay, so we'll create replica rs dot replica set dot ml. Right, hyphen 3 hyphen is the starting. So kind equal to apps v1 kind equal to replica set metadata name nginx web app rs namespace equal to metadata equal to rs replica set web app web app. So nginx svc node port nginx web app, right? Yeah. So what here? So here there is a match labels. In the match labels, app or version or data, everything we can use it. Okay. So what is that, guys? So there is a match labels in the replica set. So replica set in the match labels. kubectl delete all hyphen all. It will delete everything. Okay. So kubectl apply hyphen f rs dot and yeah, replica set apps nginx web app rs is created. Service nginx svc is created. Service nginx svc is created. kubectl get parts hyphen o wide hyphen o wide. You see, so it will create the three parts. It will create the three parts. kubectl delete pod. For example, I'm trying to delete this pod. Pod is deleted. But what is the replica set? 3. You see, 6 seconds ago. It will automatically create, guys. Because of the replicas. Because of the replicas, it will automatically create. It will automatically create 3 replicas. If you set as a 5, it will automatically create the 5, and every time it will create every time it will be running on 3 parts. Every time it will be running on 3 parts. If you delete, right, it will automatically create it. If you delete, it will automatically delete it. Is understood? So then deployment strategies. So what are the deployment strategies? The deployment strategies are recreate and rolling update. So what is the recreate and rolling update? We'll see it. Then kubectl delete all hyphen all. So now you understood the namespace, replication controller, and replica set. So now we are discussing about the deployment. Now we are discussing about the deployment. What this is? This is the deployment dot YAML. What this is? This is deployment dot YAML. VA deployment dot YAML. You see guys, deployment.yaml. So pod deployment.yaml, apps v1 kind equal to deployment, metadata name, nginx web app deployment, spec replicas 3, strategy. So what is the strategy of deployment, guys? Here, recreate. Selector equal to match labels. Okay. If you are not providing any strategy here, by default it is taking the rolling update. By default, it is taking the rolling update. What we are specifying? We are specifying the what we are specifying? We are specifying a recreate. We are specifying a recreate. kubectl delete all hyphen all. It will delete everything. Then you can do kubectl apply hyphen f deployment.yaml. Sorry guys, appl. Okay. Yeah, deployments of created and service also created. Service also created. So how you can check kubectl get parts. kubectl get parts hyphen o wide hyphen o wide. So how many created, guys? 3 parts are created. So 3 parts are created. So running restart 0, age equal to IP address node. Guys, so when we see it in the here also namespace type cluster, not this one, is the network things. Open lens for you see guys here. So then the pod our namespace, pods, how many pods are running, replicas, age, right? The condition is processing, right? These all are the pods. You see here, cluster IP enable age, status, active. Okay. So load balancer, spec, protocol, selector, cluster IP. Okay. So this is the one. Yeah, here also. This is the one is the terminal. In the terminal we can see. Yeah, namespace, restart, controller node, age. It will show everything else in the open lens. We'll try to show you on open lens today or tomorrow, or in the last class I will show you in the Kubernetes last class, the open lens creation and the showing. Okay. So here kubectl get svc. So these are the node for the next one is deployment. What is that? Deployment, guys. So kubectl get deployment, you see. So this is the deployment 3 by 3 ready, up to date 3, available 3. So age equal to 2 minutes and 29 seconds. You guys understood the deployment? Yeah. Hello?